In this episode of Peace Talks, we go a whole different direction than the way we usually talk about the upcoming U.S. Nationals. I'm Rob Shields, and this is the 2026 U.S. Nationals preview episode on Peace Talks. It's also a reunion of sorts, as joining me today are the 2023 World Silver Medalist team, the Misfits, with returning guests, E.B. Karen. Hey, E.B., how are you?
Good.
Sarah Schuler.
Hey.
Michaela Keener.
Hey.
And joining us for the first time, Karen Puzzles.
Hi, how are you? I'm so excited to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you. Thanks for joining us. The first thing I want to know from this group, before we get into the intricacies of the U.S. Nationals, is how did this group come together for the 2023 Worlds team?
Originally, Michaela and EB and I and a few other people were supposed to be on a team for the 2022 Worlds competition. We ended up not being able to go, so we got together and decided to make this team the next year.
Sarah and I were on a team together at 2022 U.S. Nationals, and that was Karen's entry into speed puzzling world. And so we were kind of scoping her out there and then, chatting and said like, oh, what if we had Karen on our team?
Yeah, that was my first competition ever. I really had no idea how it would go because I had never competed. I ended up getting second in individual, which worked out great and sort of showed that I could actually do this in addition to making the videos.
That's awesome. And how did you enjoy participating as a team? Because I imagine if you hadn't done a lot of competitions, there weren't a lot of team-based competing in your history.
Yeah, well, in 23, we went to the Connecticut State Championships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a weekend of doing team practice, except Sarah couldn't make it. So it was me, Evie, and Michaela. And then once we got out to Spain, it was the first time that all four of us had actually all puzzled together.
And you took home second place with just that little bit of practice.
I think we did like 2 puzzles together as a team. To be fair, I wanted to be at the Connecticut Championship, but I had avoided COVID until that day. So it got me.
Awesome. Well, thank you all again for joining me today. We're going to dive in and talk about the U.S. Nationals for 2026. So I guess first it's worth saying the U.S. Nationals is March 27th through the 29th in Atlanta, Georgia this year. What are we feeling about Atlanta, Georgia? So last year it was in D.C. Before that, it was in San Diego. It's moving around a little bit. Any feelings on Atlanta?
I love the weather in Atlanta this time of year because it should be warm, but not too hot, not south in June or July when it's really humid. It'll be humid. I assume it will be. And we're probably looking at some pollen in the air. So account for that would be my guess. But I'm really excited to see it move around, but also have it be in a big hub that's easy to fly or travel into. I'm personally driving, but I know it's a lot easier to fly into.
Yeah, as someone from Southern California, it was really nice having it in San Diego twice because it was so easy to get to. But I love that it's moving around, and Atlanta is, as Michaela said, really easy to get in and out of.
All I have to say is that last year at this time, I accidentally teased or released the location of next year's Nationals. This time, they're not telling me anything. So, no repeat.
I was hoping we would get a sneak preview of where it was going to be.
I don't know. Maybe Sarah has it.
No, I know nothing. I always want it to be in the Twin Cities, and that's never going to happen. So,
just for the record, I also know nothing, even though I've emailed with the board about the filming that I'll be doing. That is one thing they have not revealed.
All right. So we are collectively entirely ignorant on where it will be next time. Any hopes as to where you would want it to be? Sarah, you already said the Twin Cities.
that's just because I live here and it would be really easy.
Yeah, I would love it to be at my house or near my house. Yeah.
Not at my house. We would not all fit.
I would love to see it move either to like Denver or Chicago, other big cities that one are easy to fly into. I know that was a gripe about San Diego. San Diego is like, yes, you can get the flights, but they're not as cheap as like LAX or Chicago, Atlanta, DC, etc. So somewhere that's a little like this year is easier to fly into, but also to just make it easier for some people who can't necessarily fly to get there.
Yeah, I think Denver would be a great choice just because we did a couple of years over on the West Coast, then we did a couple of years on the East Coast. Denver's not quite central, but it is, centraler.
I think we're pretty limited, or historically we've been limited to places where board members live. So, I mean, we do have a couple board members in Minnesota, so I would say it's not like out of the question. I could also see it going back to California, or just being somewhere Ravensburger is like participating in some random convention.
That's true. For next year especially, that is the next most likely thing. Yeah, because I imagine that as soon as this is over, given what little exposure I've had to what's going on, the board will probably be exhausted and not want to be thinking about this for a while. One of the things I wanted to touch on as well is that if there was ever any question because of the world's attendance that there was still interest in competitive jigsaw puzzling, it feels like we sort of answered that question, at least in the US, because individuals sold out in 8 days for 800 slots this time around. Pairs sold out the same day for 400 slots, and teams sold out the next day after they opened for 200 slots. So it seems like demand is still high. I got a question in from a dog named Boba T. Fett, who wanted to know what they will do to accommodate more participants because it sold out so fast. And we saw this a couple of years ago as well.
I mean, I think the main thing that they can do is just have a bigger space so that more people can compete at the same time. You don't necessarily want to keep adding rounds like what we've seen at Worlds recently, because then it stretches out into like a week-long event, and that's just way too much. So I feel like kind of the only solution is to have more people compete at the same time, and for that you need a bigger space, which costs more money, and I don't really know how the budgeting works.
And you need more people.
Yeah, more volunteers as well.
I don't think we'll see that next year because based on kind of what the board has said, really every other year is potentially going to be this more like convention style where there's things besides speed puzzling. And so kind of like EB said, if there's an awesome con or a similar convention that Ravensburger is already working with, that might be what next year's looks like again, kind of like what we saw in 25. So I don't know if we'll necessarily see something change next year.
One thing I think that's awesome that Cobble Hill is doing for the convention this year is opening up registration for their events. So if you miss the window to enter the official competitions, I'm looking now and the team relays and the Cobble Together race still have openings. Hopefully they'll still have openings when this podcast is released and you can run and sign up for it. And you're not signing up for it with a team. I think it's very informal. You just kind of like find a team when you're there. So if you're planning on going and you feel like you've missed out, you can still sign up for Cobble Hill's competitions. And some of the ones on Sunday, it's like so informal that you don't even have to sign up ahead of time. So thank you, Cobble Hill, for giving those additional options for people who feel like they missed the window to sign up.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of other activities. The good thing is that because the board is running this as a convention and a competition simultaneously, the convention side is very puzzle focused as opposed to Awesome Con last year. Cobble Hill is got a lot of different events going on. So if you're just there for not the competition side of them, there's so many other things to do. As you said, there are these new events. There's also booths specific to puzzling and other kinds of activities. There's, your regular large scale collaborative puzzle formats. There's puzzle chess. And also there is something that I'm particularly excited to see is the final quote unquote speed run of the Quilted Critters puzzle from Puzzle Twist. It's really more of an exhibition than it is anything else, but I just want to see these people destroy a puzzle really fast.
Recently on Instagram, this is a sidebar about the speedrun puzzle, but Nathan from Indiana did a ranking of each individual piece of the speedrun puzzle. And it is so funny and wonderful and honestly accurate. Like, agreed. Someone else said their favorite two pieces just have these little like black lines on them. You barely can see what it is, but when you put it in the puzzle, it's the bee's knees. And those crack me up. So I'm also excited to see that.
a while ago, Nathan Beaverdorf also did a ranking of like every Chobani yogurt, and I was following it.
I still like look back at that and go, which ones did he like? Because I'll probably like the same ones.
So skipping back to the non-yogurt related content. So last year we saw what looked like a sort of slowdown in the sales of the events. Do we think that having an event attached to another convention is still a good idea? It seems like people get much more engaged with it when it's an entire puzzle event.
As someone not planning the event, I want them to do it like they're doing it this year every year, because I think it's just such a better experience overall when the whole thing is puzzle focused. I know it's much easier to not have to run a convention every single year when you're an unpaid volunteer.
I also wonder if, I mean, now that they've changed it to every year instead of every other year, like it was from 22 to 24, you know, not everyone can afford to take the time off or to, you know, pay to travel every year. So I think some people might just naturally fall into the every other year schedule. So I wonder if that, you know, could make up a majority. I don't want to speak for, you know, anyone who's not me. I know for me, I was so burnt out after doing the videos of the 24 Worlds and Nationals. That's why I skipped both of them in 25. So again, I'm sort of like that too. It's like I can handle it every other year.
Yeah, that's a great point. Not all of us have the same sort of additional overhead that you have, but definitely, like, it's the world's problem that we've talked about a lot this year, is like going to an event, that puzzle related event, especially when it's a fair amount of travel, can be like you have to flow that in with all the other things you want to get done in life.
Yeah, I think also how they're moving it around lately, I think that's going to also keep attendance up, because you're getting all of the local puzzlers that normally would never travel to do a puzzle event that are in that area to come to it. So I think that will keep them successful over time too.
The event kicks off Friday morning at 8:30 a.m., bright and sunny, with individual prelims all day Friday. Saturday has got pairs in the morning, and in the afternoon is teams prelims. And then the finals are pairs, individuals, and teams on Sunday. Before we dive into any of the individual events, any thoughts on the overall kind of structure?
I did just realize looking at this that I don't compete until Saturday. So thanks for that.
It's great not having to do individuals.
That's right. So Sarah, you're not doing individuals this year. Michaela, you're not doing individuals this year. EB, are you doing individuals this year?
Yep.
And Karen, you're also doing individuals this year?
I am.
Well, let's talk about individuals. Last year, we had last year's winner, Kelly Walter, finished ahead of Hannah Doyle by 15 seconds, and Hannah had a lost piece, so even a tighter total time than that. So I'm looking forward to a rematch on that front. And 5 minutes encompassed the top 14 places. So last year's group was really tight time-wise. And most of those folks, aside from Michaela, are returning again this year. So I'm actually really excited about what the individuals competition would look like this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, and I'm excited to not be part of it.
I was going to say, you're excited for a whole other reason.
Yeah, I'm actually volunteering for most of the individual rounds. One of the things about not being a competitor in individuals is I'm going to have the energy and time to actually give back a little more to the community this year, which is part of why I decided to do it. I had previously retired from individuals, so I'm very happy to go back into retirement for at least the foreseeable future. We'll see. Maybe I'll come back in a few years, but I'm the only one of the top 19 or top 20. So there's 19 of the top 20 who are returning. So I'm really excited to see what the final order comes. I think it'll depend a lot on the puzzle and the day and just how it is in speed puzzling.
Yeah, given how tight the times were, a lot of small factors are going to come into play and have a really big impact on who actually comes across the line first. One of the things that I love that Mari Black said is that, you know, you're not talking about people who are sort of individual winners, but you're talking about the class of competitors who any of them could be winners and just on that particular day happen to excel. I think that's a beautiful way of thinking about it. And I think exceptionally true coming up this year.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I have no expectations of being anywhere in those top spots. My only goal is really just to make it to the finals because, if I'm going all that way, I want to puzzle as much as possible. But I did. So I haven't released the video yet. So a little bit of a spoiler for you guys. I did the individual puzzles from last year or from Nationals 25. And for each of the 3 prelims, I would have come in at just about 20th place. So, if I can keep that going this year, we'll see if more people have gotten even faster. But, that's something that I would be totally happy with. I feel like at this point, I don't really practice that much.
I was just going to ask.
Ironically, I spend so much time making the videos that takes all my energy, and I have no energy to actually practice speed puzzling. And so I'm just there to have fun and do a puzzle at like a speed that feels good to me. And yeah, I'm excited to see what puzzles they are using this year.
I'm starting to get the sense from a lot of different people that having fun is becoming more of a, not just a priority, but a reality this time around. I'm seeing people make choices that seem like they are more fun kinds of choices than they are competitive kinds of choices. Not to say that people aren't making competitive choices, but I'm happy to see that sort of starting to emerge more seriously. But am I the only one that sees that?
I hope that that's true. Yeah, I think the more nationals we have, the easier it is to not make this nationals the most important thing, and maybe to take some of the pressure off. I am wondering if I'm going to regret doing individuals because I could be doing more fun things if I weren't doing individuals.
This reminds me, Nicole Pichette and Katie Hartzler wrote in and asked about tips for first timers. So for folks who are coming here for the first time, is there anything that they should be thinking about? Specifically, Claire Soul asked as a follow-up, how do you prep for the mental game of showing up here?
I think everyone kind of handles it differently. And when you listen back to different people on the podcast, they probably have the better tips when it's one-on-one, what works for them, whether it's a playlist, whether it's not being in the competition hall or around it until it's your time to go, doing a warm-up puzzle, doing yoga, trying to get zen. For me, it's trying to make sure I'm just enjoying it and having fun. And obviously, sometimes other things get in the way that make it really hard to do that. Depending life, could wake up with a headache, stuff going on in our personal life, who knows? But just trying to go in with a good mindset of you're going to enjoy the process and trying to just enjoy the puzzle for what it is, whether it is awful cherry blossoms or a really dark flower market or a beautiful, one of these beautiful artworks that's fun. And Bright Fish, EB and I redid our pairs final and just talked about how much we loved that puzzle. As soon as we saw it, we were excited. But not everyone has that exact mindset for that specific puzzle even, right? So
we heard it in the room. Yeah, when that puzzle came out.
I also think just watching past live streams and just getting a sense for the rhythm of how everyone gets into the room and then they do the announcements and then it starts and just having a sense of what the room is going to look like. You can picture yourself in there. I know that for me, if I'm walking into a totally unknown situation, that's way more stressful than if I have an idea of like what the room is going to look like and what's expected of me and what the timing is going to look like. And also something that I found at home is to do a few jumping jacks right before the event. Really get the blood moving, like get your adrenaline up a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually a strategy that the psychological perspective on it is like you're having this like adrenaline experience. So if you give your body a reason to be having that by doing some exercises, you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be feeling like my heart is pounding and I'm breathing a little heavy. So this is expected. And it doesn't bother you as much. Another reframe, if you don't want to be doing like jumping jacks next to your table, would be like telling yourself that you're actually very excited because it feels really similar. So like if you think about like how you might feel before a first date, like your heart is pounding and like you might get a little sweaty, but it's exciting, right? So if you get those physiological symptoms of adrenaline, telling yourself that it's because you're excited, not because you're afraid.
Yeah, something that I've definitely done is at these big events where it's, sometimes can be so chaotic, there's so much going on, especially me trying to do the filming as well, is right as I'm about to start puzzling, I like consciously remind myself, I like puzzles. Like, I'm choosing to do this. This is fun. The puzzling is the fun part, especially if, you have kids and pets and things that are constantly interrupting you. Be like, oh my gosh, I get to just do a puzzle for an hour with no interruptions and get to only focus on this. Like, the competition doesn't even matter at that point. That's just supposed to be like fun.
Yeah, I think going back to Karen's point about watching like old live streams and just kind of seeing what the setup is, I think something, if you haven't been, is you do end up sitting there a little bit longer than you probably would like to. And everyone is amped and ready to go for the most part. And so sometimes being surrounded by everyone who's like, let's go, what's it going to be? Let's do this, can be really hard. So just trying to prepare yourself for that time that you're going to be sitting there at the table, especially in individuals by yourself, technically. Like, how do you want to handle that? Thinking about that ahead of time and how you want to feel in that moment, knowing that it's going to be an adrenaline rushed like moment.
I now want Allie Krasny, who usually does the announcements at the beginning, to lead everybody in some jumping jacks. I think that would be amazing.
Oh my gosh, I'd be so distracted.
I think she would do it though.
She 100% would do it. Yeah.
I get so in the zone right before I have to puzzle. It's been a while since I've done an individual, but I'm like freaking out usually. I can feel my heart beating. Ooh, stress.
Oh, you're refeeling it already, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't like it.
What about tips for folks outside of the competition area? Is there anything that related to just being in the competition, being in the convention, being at the event at all, that's letting somebody know?
I actually had a tip to make yourself a list of all the things that you need whenever you leave your room, because I think especially if you're on your way to compete, you might like start feeling flustered. You might forget something that might make you even more flustered. And so like write yourself a list either on your phone or on a piece of paper so that you can like run through it before you leave your room and make sure you have everything. For example, if you need help with your list, it might have like headphones, your timer, a box top holder, a hair tie, your water bottle, a snack, like, right? It's a whole lot of stuff that you need to bring.
I also would add in Tums and some sort of like ibuprofen Tylenol.
And your board.
And your badge.
If you have a little critter that comes with you that sits on your table, which a lot of puzzlers do, yeah, that's the start of a good list.
Yeah, it is starting to sound like you need a kit when you leave the room.
Oh, and depending how much time you have between competitions, a lot of times, like nationals last year, I was bringing my shirts to switch between teams and pairs just in my bag with me. So I didn't have to worry about, do I have time to go back and change? Especially if you're not staying directly in that convention hotel or one that's adjacent.
Yeah, and even if you haven't made specific pairs or team shirts, it can be nice just to put on a fresh shirt for each event.
Yeah.
So that, it can get a little sweaty if you have so much adrenaline pumping.
I always say if you're not sweating, you're not puzzling hard enough.
I will say that especially when there's going to be so many people who are coming to not even speed puzzle, trying to see everyone that you want to see is really hard. I mean, last year, I think I saw Rob in passing and was just like, hey, Rob, how are you doing? And there's people that after the fact, I got home and they posted on Instagram. I was like, we missed each other. How did we miss each other? Well, not how, but I'm sad that we missed each other because we're in the same space. And it's just so easy when you have a crowd of people that are so excited to see each other.
I do think this year will be a little easier since we'll have more central areas to hang out in together with other puzzlers. Last year was a little more difficult since you'd have to go downstairs to go to the convention area. But this year there's going to be so much free casual puzzle space. Or you can come hang out at my booth.
What's going on at your booth?
Sorry, shameless plug. It's 20 less than 20 days out, and I still haven't really figured out everything that's going to be at my booth. but I'm hoping for t-shirts before that time. Hopefully, I'll have them ordered by the time this comes out. Otherwise, I will have a bunch of stickers and some puzzles for sale.
So go to Sarah's booth to see what's at Sarah's booth.
It'll be a mystery to everyone, including me.
Let's talk about pairs this year compared to last year as well. So with last year's pairs, we had Andrea Peng and Kelly Walter finished first, about 57 seconds ahead of Josh Trauger and Connor Delott. Top 8 teams finished within 5 minutes. So again, a fairly compressed space of people, but we have a fair amount of sort of reshuffling going on.
I was looking at this right before this call. I ended up pulling the top 22 pairs. And that seems really weird, but just seeing some of the people who were shuffling around, I realized I probably needed to pull the top 22 pairs. So of those, 13 are the same. And that means that the other 9, is my math right, are shuffling around or not coming or something.
And do we think that this is fairly typical of a reshuffling when it comes to pairs?
I think now that we're getting past our first couple nationals, kind of like Evie said, where we might start to see the individual competitions don't feel as stressful because, hey, there's going to be another one. We know that. Everyone loves puzzling. This is going to be something that we continue to see in the future. I think people are trying to start having more fun or wanting to change things up. And I think that's going to be very normal to see this reshuffling.
I also think now there's just a lot more people who are all kind of at the same level or, you know, past a certain speed point. And so there's just more options for all of us to, you know, find new people to puzzle with that are kind of similar to our own speeds.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people want to try puzzling with new people. I mean, I love Lauren Couts. I love the Betches, but it is kind of fun to try out a new team. So Lauren and I aren't puzzling together at Nationals this year, which might come as a shock to a lot of people.
Finish that up. Don't leave us hanging.
Oh yeah, just leave you on the edge of your seats here. So we have talked for a while about swapping on a major competition with the Reuter sisters. So I will be with Jean and Lauren will be with Kathy. And I think it works out perfectly with those pairings. We did a random drawing to see who would be with who, but I think it worked out exactly perfect in the way it should.
Yeah, that is, I'm so looking forward to that. A couple of good pairs that I really root for every time now being shuffled amongst each other. Like, that's great. A couple of other pairs that are moving around from the top 10 last year. Kelly Walter is now with Jessa Douglas this time around in pairs. Hannah Doyle has Caitlin McCluskey. Emily Chandran is got Maxwell Maritato. And Sammy Brownlow's got Grayson Shannon. So there's some fun pairs up there as well. Returning from last year, we have Josh Trauger and Connor Delott, Evie and Michaela, Alice Rowe and Hannah Scott, Emma Pan and Minyi Deng, and Mari Black and Hannah Siegler.
I feel like I heard about the Reuters splitting up for pairs a while ago, so I'm really excited to see that and see which of you guys, how close your times are to each other.
We are hoping that we'll end up at the same table for finals.
That would be amazing.
I think Lauren and I, one of our favorite things about pairs is trying to beat the Reuters. And I think it'll just be so fun to be next to them and just have a little yell at each other session like we did last year.
Honestly, that's kind of a strategy that I use for, I guess, pairs, but mostly individual. Is like, if you're really stressed and the idea of this whole competition is like too much to handle, like your only goal could be, I want to beat the person next to me. And you don't tell them that. This is just a purely internal goal. But it's like, that's one very like tangible thing that you can think without needing to, think about the entire competition.
Sometimes that doesn't work out for you though, because in 2023, my only goal was to beat you, Karen, and you beat me.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's happened since, so.
And I didn't know you as well yet. And now I do, and I love you.
This is an ongoing story for Sarah, is like, she loves you eventually.
That's how she hated me at first. So yeah.
Right? And Lauren said the same thing.
I was just like, who's this person? Who's this person that's faster than me?
And now you're going to be my bridesmaid. What?
I know. Oh, it's
oh
the
my
best.
gosh. That's so cute. I love that.
Last year's teams Jack Be Quick with Kelly Walter, Jean Reuter, Kathy Reuter, and Andrea Ping finished first, ahead of the Jiggernauts by about 6 minutes, a little over 6 minutes. The Jiggernauts being Jessa Douglas, Kelly Burr, Hannah Scott, and Alice Rowe. And then behind them, just 8 seconds, Connor, Kyle Cosson, Matthew Netlow, and Josh Trauger with 3.5 men.
There has been a lot of shuffling that's happened, again, just like we were seeing in pairs. So of the top 14 teams, there's only 4 teams that have stayed completely the same. The only 4 teams that have stayed the same, from at least what I saw, were the Jiggernauts, 3.5 men, we put the Betch and You Betcha, and Girls in Stemp. Every other team has completely shuffled, whether that's people coming, not doing teams, which a few people have just chosen not to do teams, just like Sarah and I don't do individuals. And I think that's awesome.
I was surprised to see some folks not doing teams this year, because I always think of teams as being the one that everybody enjoys to do. But is there aspects to teams that maybe I'm not thinking about that make it less exciting for some folks?
Last year, I know a couple people decided not to do teams because they didn't want to have to stay the whole weekend. They wanted to be able to head out before the rush to the airport or rush out. So kind of leaving after pairs and individuals was done. I have talked to some people that just, they don't enjoy it as much as they thought with, and it's usually, again, their own thing, not because of who they're puzzling with. So it just, you should be doing what you enjoy. So if you don't enjoy teams for some reason, don't do teams. That's fine.
It's also a big time commitment because it's easily the most, like the biggest puzzles and the most puzzles. So if you do want to be really competitive for individual and pairs, it might make sense to save your energy just for those 2 events, or, you know, for a year like this where we have the convention, to open up that time to experience everything else that's going on.
Yeah, I think another issue is there's a lot of, as we've talked about, shuffling of teams. And sometimes there's like a bunch of groups of 3, and then they're trying to find their 4th person, but they can't find one. And so then a team of 3 breaks up, and then those 3 people now have to find the slot on a team of 4. And it gets a little complicated when there's a lot of shuffling and not solid teams.
Yeah, one of the things E.B. and I were talking about last weekend when we were together for teams practice was teams can be exhausting because it's back-to-back puzzles. It's at the end of the weekend. I personally hit a wall, especially in that jungle.
The jewel jungle.
We don't talk about puzzle.
I know. But to my point, like, and kind of what Karen was saying, like, it's a lot to take on, especially it will change with some of the rule changes this year for prelims, but we're still seeing 2 back-to-back 1000s in team finals. And after pairs and individual finals, if you're doing all of it, that's just a lot of puzzling for a single day, even if you love puzzles.
I know that when my team made it into finals sort of unexpectedly, we were like, yay, because we were sort of exhausted by the first round, and we were sort of looking forward to having that extra time. And then we ended up having to do is it Jewel Jungle? Is that what it was called? The black background with a bunch of line drawn animals sort of thing. It's hours of puzzling. You know, I was thinking that back in the first nationals, there were, I think, 3,500 pieces for the teams, which over the course of like 4+ hours. I know that some of you guys were doing that during that time. Do you guys miss having so many pieces to work through in a single event?
No.
I mean, I did 2 24-hour events 2 weekends in a row last year, which I thought was so fun, incredible. But that's a different thing since it's just one long event. It's not different events. And also, you have a larger team who's switching in and out, so you're not on for that entire time. So I do really like puzzling for long stretches of time. But I feel like you either need to have such a long event like that, where it's not like so full of adrenaline every single second, or it needs to be, you know, the 3-hour 2 1000s that we have now. I feel like when you get into that in-between space, you know, of like 6 hours, that's a lot of time to be super on top of it and like to have the same people on it for the entire time. You know, I feel like it needs to be one or the other. Like either commit to having a really long event or keep it a little more manageable.
I think a 5-hour, as you said, if you're just kind of going full speed, like that makes Team No Snacks not look like a great strategy anymore.
Yeah, that first year, I definitely had a snack. I wasn't on Team No Snacks. I didn't know about the no stack strategy, but I definitely brought a snack.
We did all rush and eat a snack right after.
And we won, so I feel
Paid
like
off.
the strategy worked.
But at what cost, EB?
I mean, I was more worried about holding my pee for 5 hours, but not drinking for 5 hours also made that kind of easy. So it worked out fine.
So this year, the prelim for the teams events is 1,000 and 500 as opposed to a couple of thousands. What do we think about that?
I'm so curious what kind of 500 we're going to get and what you all think. Let's hear predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why they're making that change is so that pretty much every team, I think is what they're expecting, will finish the 500. And so hopefully it won't be one that's, super, super hard, like the same, one of those challenge puzzles that's the same thing over and over and over again, because that would be crazy. But I also don't think it's going to be so easy that the fast teams will finish in 16 minutes or something. So I definitely think it'll be challenging.
So I think EB is curious if we think it's going to be a circle or large format or a regular format, because this was something that we talked about a lot last weekend as a pair or as a team.
That is what I'm curious about.
It literally never even occurred to me that it might be a circle. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Right? Because we have the whole table for teams. So I think part of the reason we haven't seen those at nationals previously is that they don't fit so well on just half of the table. But if you're giving them to teams, Ravensburger has the opportunity to market some new release puzzles that they haven't had the opportunity to market before at our nationals. So
I love the
I'm
circles.
just wondering, is it going to be a circle or is it going to be a XL?
Yeah, that's a really good point. We just had a team practice with my team the other weekend, and we should have done a circle. It never even occurred to any of us.
Well, at least you didn't do what EB did to us, which was give us a circle right off the bat when it was finally all four of us together. And it was the hardest circle she could pick. It did not.
Which one was it?
The fungi one or the mushrooms. Everything changes colors in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we were all wait, I have this, but I have this, but it's this color, but it's this color. It was literally our first puzzle together as a team after a long day of travel for Gray and Katie, and EB and I were already probably 5,000 pieces in ourselves, if not more. So
Tell us about your team.
We're called the Bucket List Puzzlers. So sort of something we were talking about earlier, that people want to puzzle with different people. And that's where the team name came from. At the 24-hour marathon in LA, I was like, Gray, you're on my bucket list. And she was like, what does that mean?
I want that to be the very first thing you said to her.
It kind of was right after the competition. I mean, they'd had other conversation before that, but that was the first thing that EB said in after the 24-hour puzzle contest.
Who's officially on there? So Gray Rogers, Katie Dilks, and then myself and EB. And as she said, we're the Bucket List Puzzlers. We actually talked about this at last nationals because apparently we missed out on making this combo last year by a day because neither of us knew the other was looking for the other half of their team. But it worked out well. Both teams last year came in, 7th and 8th, I think. We were right back to each other. So practice went well. I think we'll have a lot of fun. Karen, who's on your team this year?
So I'm on a team called Eat Our Puzzle Dust. On my team is Yuan Chun, and she's also going to be my pair. And then we are with Jessica Rottenbasher and also Trisha Sidlecki. So all of us live here in kind of the general LA area. So we were able to get together for a team practice, and it is just so fun puzzling with them. We are not under the impression that we're going to win this event or anything. We're just there to have fun and do some puzzles together. Yeah,
see, more people making fun decisions. It's a theme even in this podcast.
And it's also a chance just to get to know, people that you might have met briefly at various events, but now that we're on the same team, it's like we really get to talk and get to know each other better. Like Trisha is someone who I've kind of sat next to for a lot of local events, but we never had like long, in-depth conversations. But now that we're on the same team, it's like, oh yeah, now we're, becoming closer friends and, we know a lot more about each other.
Sarah, you're back again with the Betches?
Yes, we're back for our potential likely last year of nationals together as a team. Bittersweet.
Are you coming to the table with goals, or are you just here to really experience this one last time?
I think that we're just going for fun. I mean, obviously, it'll be disappointing if we don't do pretty well, but I think we kind of talked about like just top 10 and just having a lot of fun. We're excited because Andrea's baby's going to be there. And so we always love when Autumn can cheer us on. Baby Salad is what we call her. Stands for Sarah, Andrea, Lauren, Austin, who is the dad, and Dawn, Baby Salad, because she's all of our baby. We've adopted her as Team Baby. And we're all her puzzle aunties. That's what I'm most excited for. I'm excited for Autumn to watch and get trained up because as soon as she can put a puzzle together, we're in training.
Any other teams that you guys are excited about with respect to the moving around, the reshuffling?
Well, I love the team name of M and M and M and M.
I was about to say, I'm super excited to just see them because, one, they're all great puzzlers, but I also love their puzzle name.
Some part of me wants them to do really well so that the live streamers have to say that name over and over and over again.
Our teammates from last year, Allie and Andrea, they're teaming up with Jen Sipple and Jasmine Lambert, who Jen's been putting out some amazing times recently, right? I feel like. Yeah. So I'm excited for them. And I know they've been doing Zoom calls together and doing the same puzzle and kind of talking it through, which Allie and Andrea have done as a long-term thing because Andrea's in Michigan, Allie's in Hawaii. And I think that's a great way to practice together when you can't meet up before nationals to do a puzzle together at least once.
My Paris partner and I are also separated across the country. I'm pairing with Karen Kent, who is in Virginia. And so we're having to figure all of that out as well. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of what, if you're a parent, maybe parallel play, like we're both doing the same thing, but not together. We're trying to figure that out as well. So any tips on how to do that well, I would love to hear.
Well, I've always been lucky enough to at least have my pair partner travel to me, Evie or Sarah. So I've been really lucky that I've had a lot of just time to puzzle with them. So I had asked Allie a little bit about what her and Andrea's process looks like. And she said they do it most Sundays. They jump on a Zoom. They pick the same puzzle. They are at a point where they really know what puzzles they both have. So that's usually doesn't take as long. Mm-hmm. Now that they've added their teammates into the calls going up to nationals, it's taken a little bit longer to figure out which puzzle they're doing. But then they just simultaneously do the same puzzle, and talk about or try to talk about their strategy as they're working through the puzzle. And I mean, I think the communication aspect of that would be really helpful.
Yeah, that is one of the things we're definitely focusing on, is trying to get used to just talking to each other about what it is that you see, and, the kind of thing that if you've been pairing with somebody for a while, maybe you do naturally or you already have inclinations for.
Yeah, I also think you need to really talk through how you're going to open it up. Who's going to do the outer bag? Who's going to take the box top off? Who's going to do the inner bag? Like, it's a whole choreography so that you're not both going for the same thing at the same time.
I feel like that might be because of your experiences with me and my lack of coordination on that, Karen.
It's not because of you. It's literally everyone. You need to talk it through, or else everyone tries to do the same thing and your hands bump into each other and it's not like a clean start to the event.
The number of times we went over what our plan was with our team last weekend, and then all of a sudden EB would be like, wait, what's the plan? And we'd be like, this is your job, and this. And she's like, okay, I'm good.
Too many things. I just need the what is my job part.
And make it like a not important job. Like starting the timer.
I was going to say, what job do you usually end up with, Evie?
I can handle the boxes when there's only one other person. Michaela has to deal with all the bags.
Good news is that I assume that we're not having box cutting tools at Nationals. It sounds like they're going to be cutting the little plastic circles on the bottoms again for us this year.
Unless there's a surprise.
Surprise! More work.
They might have seen how much press that got at Worlds and been like, yeah, let's stir the pot.
We want some of that.
Not the right coverage. Not the right coverage.
I don't know that we said who was on the M&M and M&M team.
Oh, no,
Oh.
but I'm excited to hear this too.
Yeah, wait, I'm trying to think of all the puzzlers I can think of whose names start with
Oh,
M.
yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Let me just tell you, the first M is the letter M, and then all the other M's are EM. So, like, there's your.
Oh,
big
so there has
hint.
to be an Emily.
There is an Emily.
Is Min on this team?
Min is
Oh,
the
Emma.
letter M.
Which
Yes,
one?
Emma.
Yep, and Emma.
Yes.
And
What's another name that starts with an M sound?
who said that they're different?
Another Emma. Two Emmas.
Oh, well done.
Yes.
Emma Pan, Emily Chandran, Emma Williamson, and Minyi Deng. M&M and M&M and N. That's the best thing I've said the entire time. Is the most.
Wait, what if it's an underwater puzzle and they have to puzzle an anemone? The people on the live stream will have a great time talking about that.
Yes. I desperately want to say it and also not going to say it right now. All right, so let's talk about images because Ravensburger has been doing a great job in the North American area of bringing in new images for every tier of puzzle. Do we think that there are going to be themes? What do we think is going to happen image-wise?
I mean, for the last 2 years, it's been a kind of general theme. In San Diego, we had a food theme, and then last year it was kind of a flower theme.
Ooh,
Um,
fur.
And yet, on the live stream, Val was like, there is no theme. This happened by accident. So,
Fur? Is that what someone said? Fur?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I can throw out
I
anything.
mean-
I don't have to do this round.
I would love that if I was doing individual. Yeah.
that's a bold prediction. I like it.
I hope it's not fur for everyone
Yeah. Same.
because it's usually people's least favorites.
Yeah, and I'm sure it won't be flowers again. They're not going to do that 2 years in a row. So I'm glad to be getting away from flowers.
We also maybe should talk about how the images are chosen because it's not that the USA JPA goes, here are the 6 images we want as puzzles. Ravensburger brings them options and they say, okay, this is going to be a 1,000-piece puzzle. This is going to be a 500-piece puzzle. What do you want to use for which rounds?
Yeah, I think that's very important for most people to know because obviously anyone who got those terribly dark food or the cherry blossoms, oh, those poor people who had to do the cherry blossoms last year. I would rather do the flower market, even though it was ranked as the hardest any day over the cherry blossoms.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you open your bag and you see that it's kind of a dark image, like you can just know going into it that the puzzle itself is probably going to be a little bit darker. Because we've seen that just in various puzzles that Ravensburger has released over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, even EB and I were doing one of the, it's the 4x500 with the nature seasons. We grabbed one of them last week for practice and same thing, like on the box, it looks great or fine. And then you pour it out and it's way darker than the image. It's just, unfortunately, one of the things that happens during the printing process.
I'm curious if Coca-Cola would be a licensed product if it comes from
Yeah.
like a stock image.
You're
I
thinking because they're headquartered there?
extremely
Right.
doubt that there'll be a Coca-Cola puzzle. Ravensburger, from what I know, does not have the Coke license. I believe it's Buffalo Games used to have it. I don't know if they still do.
I just saw it on a Masterpieces recently.
Yep, Masterpieces has it and Springbok.
I was starting to think the aquarium in Atlanta is pretty well known. So what if it was like an underwater theme? That could be kind of interesting.
Oh,
Do you think we'll get a custom designed puzzle like we saw at the Canadian finals? Like we've seen in Worlds?
oh, like the team's final.
Yeah, like
Custom
the
design that had the
Valladolid.
puzzle pieces.
or the Toronto, wasn't it? We haven't historically.
We haven't historically, but it probably also partially depends what the artists that are being featured are willing to do. I don't think either of these artists are really known for true like landscape type cityscapes.
Right, because we do know 2 of the artists, right?
Yes.
Which is like the least amount we've ever known.
The ones that we know are Rose Cat Khan and Steve Reed, both of whom have illustrated unicorns in the past. So I'm really hoping for unicorns.
When did Steve do unicorns?
I think I looked on Lisa's Ravensburger catalog, and some of his older work had unicorns.
Lisa Fireman.
Yeah.
So unicorns, obviously themed well with Georgia.
Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of like what symbols you can pull out of Atlanta or I guess Georgia in general.
There's got to be peaches, right? I assume that there's going to be peaches somewhere.
Georgia
Yeah, I mean,
peaches.
it could be like just a fruit theme. That could be kind of fun. Like fruit still lives.
Keeps the F theme going.
They previously had the Olympics, so there are different Olympic symbols around the city.
Although you have to be careful of, again, more copyright stuff
Yep.
with like the Olympic logo. But it could
They'll
be
get
people
ya.
like doing sports.
This is true. But I know Centennial Olympic Park has like the big Ferris wheel in it, so it could be more of the landmarks that are around those areas instead.
Mhm. If we get an image that's just a close up of a Ferris wheel, that would be so hard.
Walk
I would love
out at that point.
That would be my bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's not going to be like in the past, it hasn't been so obvious of like the city landmarks. So I feel like it would probably be more like a theme like food or flowers, something like that, where you can get different types of images within it, but isn't something that's super easy to guess if all that you know is the city.
I could see fur, like Sarah said. I mean, Steve Reed has done a lot of animals, playful animals.
But will we see his artwork in the prelim individual? I'm not sure.
Wait, so we don't think Steve Reed? We don't think he's going to be a cozy?
I could see it more being a cozy something.
But I also think he'll be further. I don't think he'll be an individual prelim. I mean, typically the individual prelim have been more of the picture puzzles,
Yeah.
even for Canada's nationals this past year as well. It seems like they're bringing in like the specific artists for more of the final rounds.
Mhm.
Well, and also for the individual prelims, there's 4 of them, and you want them all to be kind of the same general difficulty level, you know, within reason. Although maybe we didn't see that last year, but like then I feel like you would need the artist to do all 4 of them, and I don't think they would premiere 4 from one artist. We haven't really seen that before.
Unless they did someone like Greg Paprocki, who has the 4 different state park
Hmm.
Or national parks, yeah.
or national park, sorry.
I mean, there's so many national parks. Maybe
I love his artwork. That would be so fun.
I do love his artwork, but he also has been featured at the last 2 nationals, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
and that would be
true.
such a huge lift to try and produce in a even year and a half time frame. 4 pieces of art.
So my thoughts, Steve Reed is going to be team final. Every single one of his 500-piece puzzles that I've ever seen are large piece. So I think his is just auto 1,000.
that's a good point. I am curious. Okay, so if we get a new cozy or like shed puzzle from Steve Reed, what is it going to be?
A puzzle shed. What?
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be the puzzle retreat or the puzzle shed.
I'd be down for that. I think that'd be fun. Like a little meta puzzle. I love a meta puzzle.
I mean, he's had some meta puzzles already, right? Like I'm staring at the stack of Steve Reed's from last week. And there is the one with the cats on top of the puzzle. So he's done meta puzzles before.
Yeah, the puzzler's desk.
I forgot about that one.
Do we think there's opportunities to break any records during this competition?
Depends on if they give us easy puzzles or not.
Fair enough. It depends heavily on what we get. That's for sure.
It depends if they're trying to redeem themselves from last year's individual prelims.
I don't get the sense that that's what they're trying to do. I think Val has been real consistent about her wanting to have challenging puzzles for people to do.
Yeah, what was Kelly's time last year on the individual final?
40 minutes 34. The fastest 500 done in any of the puzzles at a U.S. Nationals was Lauren Kautz did it in 37:56, did the red, white, and blue flowers last year. So one of the early prelim rounds.
Yeah, and that was definitely the easiest by far individual last year. So I think if they, give one of the rounds a really easy one, then we could probably see that time beaten.
I think depending the puzzle, we could see that the U.S. record is broken. I don't think we'll see world records broken, at least not until Connor is puzzling individuals.
Well, and it's challenging because at the Worlds they get, especially in the preliminaries, they get non-unique puzzles, right? They get puzzles that people have been able to practice, sometimes a whole lot.
Yeah, but I personally look at it as puzzles that have our unreleased images. I mean, I know they have their one that is the pre-released images, but thinking of unreleased images, since that's what we're going to see, it's still fast, right? Like, it's so impressive.
Any team names stand out as just interesting, like are fun?
There's one that I saw last year. I didn't see if the same team or like the same name is being used this year, but I'm so mad that I never thought of That's So Ravensburger.
One of my favorites for this year is that a team is doing Peach Talks as a team name. So obviously my favorite, and that's with previous guest Andrew Bradburn on it, and Kimberly Keene, Elizabeth Tashiro, and Daria Lelian.
That is a great one. That's So Ravensburger is not back, but there's a Ravensburger and Fries and Ravensburger House.
Yeah, Ravensburger and Fries was on my list as a favorite.
I personally like the Orange You Glad You're Puzzling, and I'm curious if they're from Florida.
Oh, there's the Misfitters.
Oh,
I did see that one too.
Other ones that I liked were the Educators. It's a nice use of a pun. 50 Shades of Gradient. And then if we're sticking with sort of story-related things, Harry Puzzler and the Chamber of Pieces.
These are just giggly.
I feel like by now there have just been so many teams over the years that it's getting harder and harder to come up with a unique or a new pun that hasn't been done before. So I feel like they're just going to keep getting more and more random and out there.
Maybe a decade from now, puns will be so passé that everybody will have like real serious specific names that are not related to puzzling at all.
That's so sad, though.
Well, and we see a lot of people that either don't want to repeat what some other team has done in the past year or so, right? Which I get. Or they're also not repeating names that we might see as Instagram handles, like Puzzle Problem. I'll take that one. Or like Gray, she's high on puzzle dust, which is great. So I will be curious to see how people get punnier and punnier, or if we'll just start seeing recycled because people will be like, yeah, sure, use that name.
Sarah, I like your mom's team's name. Fit Hits the Fan.
They have a good t-shirt with it, too.
Anything else topic-wise we want to dive into?
Any artist surprises, or like what artists that we don't know, will they show up or will their puzzles show up?
I would love if we got like a local artist from Atlanta, someone who we haven't really seen in puzzles before. But, if it's someone brand new that they could get to be there in person to talk about their artwork, I think that would be really cool.
Well, there is going to be the artist alley in the conference area, so that'll be really cool to at least see a lot of them, I'm assuming, are going to be local artists.
Some past repeats we've seen have been Dean McAdam, Demelsa Houghton, and of course, Nathaniel Mortensen, who also shows up to sign his puzzles when they come to nationals. I'll be on the lookout to see if...
Who you can recognize.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I can recognize some of these artists now, so...
How much of an advantage, if any, is it if you recognize somebody in the wandering down the corridor and you're like, I know who that is?
Last year we didn't know Nathaniel was going to be there again. And then when he showed up, all of a sudden everyone was like, oh, his image is going to appear probably this round because he showed up for roughly around this round. And that's kind of when his puzzle did show up. So.
And was that particularly helpful to know?
I think it was comforting.
Do we know what the formats are for the Cobble Hill special events?
No.
Like, I know they have the Cobble Together and the Gauntlet.
I could see it being three-handed puzzling. That would be my guess.
Yeah, Linda from Cobble Hill did mention they were going to be unusual.
So the Gauntlet sounds like it's going to be like a really intense relay type of thing where there are just like so many surprises and twists. That would be my guess for the Gauntlet. Cobble Together, I think it's going to be like, oh, your hands are cobbled together and you're a pair and you only have three hands or something like that.
So there are a couple other things that are going on during the conference that I think are worth talking about. So one, as you said, Karen, there's live streaming. So is this something you can talk about that you're going to be on the live stream?
Yes. As of now, I think they have me scheduled for individual round B. So I'm participating in round A. And so then I'm going to be on for the next round to, chat about what's going on and how mine went. So yeah, that should be fun.
I know people are always virtually screaming your name when there are competitions going on that are streaming. So it'd be a pleasure to have you actually on the stream.
Yeah, I love being on the live stream. It's always so fun to chat with Val and to be able to give my, I guess not unsolicited, I guess it is kind of solicited, thoughts about what the strategy would be for this puzzle. But it's a lot easier to be like, oh, I would do XYZ if you're not there actually needing to do XYZ.
That's so true.
The other thing that I was going to mention is that there are panels going on, and they're not releasing the schedule for those, but I can tell you that I'm on one of the panels. There's this will shock nobody. There's a Decoding Data Speed Stats 101 panel that I will be on the Friday at 12:30. It overlaps with Preliminaries B, so, be fast. Get more incentive to be done with Preliminary B if you're in that round, and come check out this panel. It will be with Isa Arudia, who is doing, I believe, the JPAR scores for the US board, so for the USA JPA. So if you want to get deeply nerdy around stats, definitely attend that. One of my favorite moments from Winter Carnival was when just a bunch of us organically gathered around and started sort of just like arguing politely, as puzzle people do, over stats and how to express them. And we were all just sort of like having my wife said, leave it to you at a nerdy place to find the nerdiest people in that place. So there are other panels going on, but as far as I know, they're not releasing the schedule or what's going on with them yet. They're secret.
I'm on a panel as well, but I feel like I don't want to release the details until they've, publicly released everything.
Ooh, do you have a surprise puzzle you're releasing again, Karen?
No, that's not it. It's
Maybe
nothing.
Karen is one of the artists.
I mean,
yes.
You heard
if
it here
you guessed what my panel was about, you would probably be right.
How to be a puzzle influencer.
I mean, yeah, essentially.
Are you on the panel, Sarah?
No, I'm not an influencer.
They should make how you make puzzles your job, and then you guys can be on a panel together.
It's not something I'd recommend for everyone. But it is a really fun job.
Yeah, I mean, same. If you have like kids or any sort of life outside of puzzles, I don't know that it's something that you can really pursue.
I think we were on a panel together about being an influencer.
Yeah, Sarah, you were on the panel with me in 2024.
I was not asked back.
Because you're not an influencer.
It's true, I have not posted a lot lately, so
It's exhausting.
there's other people that are better options. Obviously,
Yeah, there's going to
Karen.
be someone else on the panel that's a live streamer, and I do nothing with live streaming, so
Ooh.
I'm excited to hear what they have to say, because that's totally outside of what I do.
I will also be on a panel with my teammate, Katie Dilks, who
neat.
is also a psychologist. And so
Ah.
our panel is called Mind Games, the Psychology of Speed Puzzling.
I so want to go to that. When is it?
It is Friday, 10:45 to 11:30.
I'm writing this down.
Maybe we could end with like other advice for people going to nationals for the first time.
Is there more to mine there, you think?
I guess like just know that it might be overwhelming and that's okay. And it's also okay to like take a break and go back to your hotel room and relax. There's no one right way to approach nationals. And so it's really all just about like figuring out how to have the most fun and enjoyment for you.
Yeah, and I would say take the opportunity where you can and feel comfortable to put yourself in with other puzzlers in some maybe group activities, because this is a great time to meet people who are as passionate as you are about some specific thing. You can have conversations about them. Not everybody in the puzzling community is extroverted and wants to go hang out with a bunch of other people. But if you can sort of nudge your way in, like sitting in like a common puzzling area, definitely take advantage of those opportunities, because there's some great people that you'll get a chance to meet and have conversations with.
Yeah, I think that is the best thing about puzzling is that you can just like look at the puzzle. You don't have to look at people.
No eye contact required.
Yeah, no eye contact required. Like you could be like, there can be those like pauses and it feels natural because you're doing a puzzle at the same time.
That's a real thing, right? Like people say that they have like the deepest conversations when they're on a long car ride because you're both just staring ahead and not needing to look at each other. I feel like it's kind of a similar thing.
And knowing that I feel like more puzzlers are introverts than not introverts. So just understanding that probably everyone's having a little social anxiety, especially approaching new groups. Like you were saying, Rob, just go in and try to join someone who's casually puzzling or doing something. Most puzzlers, I mean, every puzzler I've met is extremely nice and wants this community to grow, right? So they're more than willing to talk and puzzle with you 98% of the time.
Yeah, and you have so many great kind of intro questions of like, where are you from? How did you find out about nationals? What are you competing in? Who are your teammates? What's your favorite type of puzzle? Like, there's just so much to talk about.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this. This has been our attempt at trying to do something new and different and interesting when it comes to nationals. Let's go around the room and just let everybody know where they can find out more about you and if there's anything else that you want to say. Evie, why don't you kick it off?
Evie Karen at Puzzle Free or Die.
Michaela?
Michaela Keener, and I am Puzzle Problem on Instagram.
Sarah?
I'm Sarah of Sarah Does Puzzles on Instagram and a new website.
And Karen?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Karen Puzzles.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me. This has been great. I enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate you coming on and helping figure out another way of approaching the nationals conversation. So thanks so much.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Peace Talks. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at peace_talks, and you can send email to peacetalkscast@gmail.com.